Capitol Report is a production of Senate Media Services.
On this week's program, 3 freshman senators reflect on the 2017 legislative session, the lessons learned, sacrifices made, balancing responsibilities, and future goals. Stay tuned for this and more on this week's Capitol Report. Welcome to this week's program. I'm Shannon Loehrke. It's been a quarter of a century since a physician has been a member of the Minnesota Senate. Dr., now Senator, Scott Jensen practices family medicine at his clinic in Watertown and now joins me in the studio to reflect on his senatorial experience thus far. Welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
Why did you run for Senate, and was this your first foray into politics?
Well, actually, I really didn't think I ran for Senate as much as I was recruited, and over a 60-day period of time, my wife and I did a lot of praying and reflecting after people had reached out to us to see if I would be willing to run for Julianne Ortman's seat since she was not going to seek re-election. And after 60 days, I think my wife and I felt convicted that maybe I was supposed to try to have a larger impact than just one patient at a time, though that's where my heart is. In terms of my first foray into politics, I lost when I ran to be the student body president in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. And I remember I lost because I told the student body that I did not think I would be able to abolish the detention policy that the principal had in place. And my opponent accused me of being a stuffed shirt, and she said she would abolish it. She was elected by 3 votes and did nothing with that issue whatsoever. That was my first foray in politics.
That was your first experience.
Otherwise, I've not been in politics other than 10 years on the school board in Waconia.
Okay. Well, you began the session with a clear sense that you wanted a seat at the table, in particular with regard to healthcare policy based on your experience as a physician. Are you satisfied with the impact that you've had thus far?
No.
What more would you like to see?
It's been a long time since physicians have sat at the table, and part of the reason is because physicians don't necessarily work well with others. Oftentimes we're treated as demigods, and we like people to genuflect before us. We've created our own stew, so I understand. But I've worked very hard to make certain that people around me know that I will thoughtfully consider what's being put before me. I'll vote with my mind and my heart. I'll try to be a team player. But at the end of the day, I do have to use my subject matter expertise as best I can. That's why I think I was elected by a fairly wide margin. Having said that, I appreciate very much being on the Health and Human Services Committee and being vice chair. And I do feel like I'm drinking from the fire hose, if you will, much of the time. But in terms of actually going into the weeds, in terms of identifying why the cost of healthcare has gone from 5% of the gross national product in the 1970s to almost 20% now, we haven't done that. We've played a shell game moving hundreds of millions of dollars around, talking about how to pay for things and how to stabilize markets. But in terms of looking at the actual cost, I'm disappointed that I haven't been able to have more of an impact.
Are you speaking a lot with your colleagues, though, about your experience, and are they listening? Is there movement towards what you see as a viable future?
That's a great question, and I am speaking a lot. I probably would be perceived at times as pestering some of my colleagues, but I have gotten a clear message that we're not done yet, and just because we're going to hopefully wrap things up in the next week, there's work to be done in the off-season, and I've been promised the opportunity to play a significant role in some format or another where we do go deep into the weeds and start talking about cost. That gives me great encouragement.
How has your medical practice changed since taking office? Because you still are seeing patients, and do your patients want to talk politics with you?
My patients have been terrific, but I've always said I've got the best darn set of patients a person could ever ask for. I try to go in the office every Monday and Wednesday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I do surgeries in the office, mostly skin-related, cancer-related surgeries, and I do pre-ops and get people ready for hospitalizations or surgeries there. And then Fridays I've been able to be in the office all day, and then if I get behind, I've been doing Saturday clinics. I know this week is going to be tough, so my staff is aware of that, and so are my patients. My patients absolutely want to talk politics. At 7:30 this morning I was talking politics with John Doe. He wanted to know what about his insurance. I was doing surgery on a fellow's chest at 8:30 this morning, and he wanted to talk politics, and I told him that he had to not take any deep breaths because he was moving my scalpel.
So it sounds like this is a really, really busy schedule. I assume you're looking forward to the interim. Is this sustainable for you, this work-life balance?
I do 45 hours a week at the Capitol, 10 hours a week on the road, and about 15 hours in the office. So that comes to somewhere around 70 hours. I remember when I built the clinic at Catalyst in 2001, I averaged 100 hours a week for about a year. So I know I can do this. And it'll get a lot easier as soon as the session gets over. And I do think that the balance between being here and having that real life office experience is really good for me emotionally. But I think it's good for the Senate and the House too, because I do bring real life stuff and I'm reminded of it every day.
Because the Republicans hold the majority by just one vote, do you believe that that gives you greater influence in swaying your colleagues?
There's no question. Mathematically, if I swing, there's no 34-33. If one of my colleagues swings, there's no 34-33. Senate Majority Leader Paul Utke is extremely sensitive to that. He's worked very hard to make sure that we all can be on the same team. There are a couple times where I didn't see eye to eye with the, quote, Republican caucus team. And I went ahead and did what I thought I needed to do.
What has been the hardest thing for you to adjust to?
The lack of thoughtful consideration of what's being said on the floor of the Senate. I thought that it would be more ebb and flow. A person would consider what's being said, consider what's being offered in the terms of an amendment, and do their best to see if we could incorporate that into the law that was being discussed or the bill that was being discussed. It seems like we're sort of supposed to go into the Senate chambers with our minds made up and we're supposed to stick to that. That's hard for me because this is sometimes the first time I've had a chance to hear my colleagues, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on, to hear their thoughts on something. And sometimes their thoughts are spot on. And I want to have a chance to say, gee, that thought, that amendment, that could help give a better shape to this bill as it moves through. So that's been frustrating. I generally I like to listen, I like to learn it, and I'd like to then maybe weigh in on it, honestly.
So you're saying that your approach is a considered approach. You like to hear the pros and cons and perhaps change your position, and that has not necessarily been the case.
There's a lot of pressure to not sway from the line that's been set up in the caucuses. I wouldn't say it's not feeling like being bullied. It's just that when you do that, it throws everything into turmoil. You undoubtedly would like to know about my vote for the Loehrke amendment a couple of months ago, when there was an option introduced as to if the big players, the health partners in Medica and Blue Cross, aren't willing to participate in every county in the state, what about the concept of a MinCare buy-in kind of option, plan, if you will, that would cost somewhere around $8,000, and it would be not a freebie, it would be a real legitimate option. And that way we could guarantee that every Minnesotan would have an option. That had attraction to me as a safety net to make certain that people were being covered. That's a family doctor's mind and his heart. So that was a big deal to me. And so I was able to support that, knowing that I thought it would change a narrative and put it on the table so we would discuss that insightfully.
Senator Jensen, that's all the time we have, but I want to thank you for coming today and talking about your first session.
Well, I'm pleased to be here, and I know I'm learning, and thank you very much, Shannon. I appreciate it.
The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office Color Guard presented the colors on the Senate floor Tuesday, May 16th as part of National Police Week, and Majority Leader Paul Utke read a resolution.
And whereas there are over 10,500 police officers licensed by the state of Minnesota, along with the federal law enforcement partners, these law enforcement officers all provide selfless service, ensuring the safety and security of residents in Minnesota. And whereas since 1874 in Minnesota, there have been 278 law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty. And whereas the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association conducted its annual standing of the Memorial Guard from 7 p.m. on May 14th until 7 p.m. on May 15th, where peace officers from all over the state traveled to the Peace Officers Memorial in the Minnesota State Capitol grounds to stand silent in 20-minute shifts to keep alive the memories of those officers who died in the line of duty protecting their communities. And whereas the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association conducted its annual candlelight vigil on the evening of May 15th, immediately following the last shift of the standing of the Memorial Guard, where law enforcement officers, family, friends, and public came together to pay tribute to those officers who died in the line of duty protecting the communities. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Minnesota that it recognizes National Police Week, all Minnesota police officers, and especially those police officers who have died in the line of duty. So, members, I'd ask that you rise And in recognition of all police officers, give a hand to all the police officers up above. And thank you for your service, and never forget those who died for us.
My next guest returned to his familial roots here in Minnesota, practicing law in the family firm and coaching youth sports. He is now completing his first legislative session and joins me in the studio to talk about how it's going. Senator Nick Frentz, welcome.
Thanks, Shannon. Thank you for having me.
Why did you run for Senate, and is this your first foray into politics?
It is my first foray, and my main reason is that I'm a big fan of our area. We live in North Mankato, but I've worked for people in Mankato, St. Peter, and all across the district, and I like them and I respect them, and you just naturally want to do good things for them. So people suggested I might run, and I'm glad they did. It was a good decision.
And you're enjoying your time here thus far?
Enjoying it immensely. I thought I would enjoy it, and the joke around town is I enjoyed it so far more than I thought I would.
You grew up in California, but attended college and law school here in Minnesota. So what brought you back, and why did you stay?
Well, my father's side of the family has been in Mankato over 150 years. So as a child, he was raised there and then drafted into the Army. He was shipped out to Northern California. I was actually born on an Army base in Northern Japan while he was serving. And he married my mom, a nice lady from Los Angeles, and we were raised out in California. But we came back to Mankato summers, some Christmases. And I always liked the people in Minnesota, and I liked the kind of sincerity that I saw. And we had tons of family down there, and my great-grandmothers were both still alive back then, so I decided to move back, and I did the minute I got out of high school 37 short years ago.
And then college, and then law school, and then settling down in Mankato.
Yeah, married a nice girl myself from Cottage Grove, and she and I settled in North Mankato in 1989. We got married after I went to McAllister and William Mitchell College of Law, just right up the street from here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You know, when we spoke last week, you mentioned the challenge of missing your family, not being around to help out with chores like shoveling snow. Based on your experience thus far, and you said you're really enjoying it, is it worth the sacrifice, though, of juggling, you know, here and there?
Sure, I think it is. It's an honor to serve. Again, I'm a big fan of our area. I'm a fan of Minnesota. So it's hard to come home to an empty apartment when you've been coming home for 30 years and kids come running up, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. First of all, it's okay because 3 of the 4 of them have moved out, and they can never come running to the door anymore because they don't live there. And also, I get home usually on the weekend to see my wife, and we have one son, a 17-year-old, who's still at home, so I get to hang out with him.
You did pro bono work on behalf of the I-35 bridge collapse victims. You're now on the Transportation Committee. So how does your work in the aftermath of that tragedy affect your views on funding the state's roads and bridges?
Well, first of all, the I-35 bridge collapse was one of the great tragedies to hit our state, and the reaction of the state of Minnesota was something I think we can all be proud of. I was very honored to be asked to work on that, along with 19 other law firms, to help the people that had been hurt and killed in the collapse. But the state of Minnesota did a great job too. We had a World Trade Center type compensation fund which helped those victims, and it also brought to light something that does matter in the Senate Transportation Committee, which is we need to consider safety as one of the core missions of the state when we're funding transportation. And when you see a bridge go down, you start saying why. And as we look at the state's funding needs for transportation and the level that we hope to fund, one of the key features is safety. And some of these roads can't go much longer. And the money to fix those roads and the safety that comes with it is very important. So I see that experience of working on the I-35 bridge claims as directly related to what I'm trying to help the state do in transportation.
There's a lot of disagreement about how to fund ongoing transportation projects. What's your take on that?
I was a gas tax advocate early, and I just think as I watch other states around the country use the gas tax to provide stable, long-term, adequate funding, that's a better route to go. I was also very encouraged. We have rural Nicollet County in my district, some of the best farmland in the state and therefore in the country. Minnesota corn growers, Minnesota soybean growers, Minnesota pork producers, all have gone public asking for a gas tax. So in my opinion, that's the smarter way. As we see this week some of the budget debates, we're watching the cost of not coming up with new revenue, which is some very serious proposed cuts to the budget in education, health and human services, and I just think Minnesotans would be better served. Having said all that, I'm open-minded to compromise. I hope that the governor and our legislative leaders are too, and I hope we get something hammered out to sort of put transportation behind us and say this is the way we're going. And Senator Newman chaired our committee, and I thought he did a nice job, even though we disagree on the ultimate result.
In the journal Minnesota Lawyer, you said one of your priorities is to improve bipartisanship. How are you doing that?
Well, I don't know. I think, one thing is you show respect for the people across the aisle. For example, the freshman GOP class in the Senate has 12 gentlemen. I know them all. I like them all. I'd like to think that we can talk about issues. My neighbor, Senator Draheim, emailed me last night on an issue that we were debating on the floor. I think everyone wants to get it right. So as long as we're able to listen to what the other side has to say, share ideas a little bit, and be willing to change your view if you're honestly convinced. I think bipartisanship is a natural result of that. I also like the decorum in the Senate. I think most people, including the freshmen, have an idea, hey, we're going to be here a while. Might as well learn to get along with the people on all sides of the issues.
Last question. Have your views on the political process changed now that you're on the inside?
Well, I don't know if I knew what to expect, so some of my views were not yet formed when I got here, but I really do think the people of Minnesota, if they got to look at the way it works here, would be on the whole pleased. I think it's always frustrating for citizens, for voters, for taxpayers when something doesn't get done. Why can't they agree? Why can't they compromise? I heard that all the time on the campaign. But for the most part, you have people representing all parts of the state. You have a process where there's voting. Committee allows public testimony. It's a good system, and I think it's fair. Right now we have Republican majority in the House by about 20. You have Republican majority by 1 in the Senate. We have 100% of the governor as a Democrat. So it's a fairly even split amongst the influence, and hopefully reasonable minds will prevail and we'll get something worked out. If not by May 22nd, then shortly thereafter. I have to get back to Mankato and get back to work at the law firm.
That's right. Senator Frentz, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure, Shannon. Thank you for having me. Have a good week.
The Minnesota State Capitol Restoration Project is nearing completion after a $300 million investment and over 3 years of painstaking work. With more than a century of use, the Capitol building had reached a critical point in deterioration. The exterior marble and stone were crumbling, and the building had antiquated heating, electric, and plumbing systems. Upon completion, this historic restoration project will make our Capitol viable for the next 100 years. Now is the time to take a free guided tour. See the restoration effort up close, get an overview of Capitol history, art, and architecture, and learn more about the workings of state government. Our Capitol has the second largest self-supported marble dome in the world and is a national treasure right here in St. Paul. Tours of the Capitol leave at the top of the hour and are 45 minutes in length. Tours begin at the Capitol Information and Tour Center, located in room 126 on the first floor, just to the right of the south entrance. From now until June 9th, guided tours are available to visitors Monday through Friday from 9 until 4, Saturday 10 until 2, and Sunday 1 to 3. Beginning June 10th, guided tours are available Monday through Saturday from 10 until 2 and 1 to 3 on Sundays. Please note that groups of 15 or more people require an advance reservation. To make a reservation, call 651-259-3003 in the metro area or 1-844-667-8679. Or you can visit the Minnesota Historical Society's website, mnhs.org/Capitol. Mark your calendars for the official Capitol Grand Opening, August 11 through 13, marking the completion of the restoration. This free event will reintroduce our state's architectural gem with a celebration that all Minnesotans can be proud of. Expect activities for all ages, music, special tours, and other events throughout the weekend. In a competitive race that helped swing the majority to the Republican Party in the Minnesota Senate, Senator Paul Utke unseated longtime DFL Senator Rod Skoy. To reflect on his first session in office, Senator Utke now joins me in the studio. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Why did you run for Senate, and is this your first foray into politics?
Well, addressing the politics first, if you consider city council, Political, it's a nonpartisan type race, but I did serve 7 years on the Park Rapids City Council, so I wasn't an elected official there. But that is the only elected office that I've had up to this point, and I've been very involved in the political scene and kind of helped recruit other candidates and that sort of thing. And
then you found yourself recruited?
We went through this process, and I kept trying to find others, and they kept trying to find me. So here I am. It wasn't something I set out to do, but in the end, it worked out very well.
With the challenges facing our healthcare system, and more specifically the role of health insurance in how we're funding healthcare, how has your experience in the insurance industry helped you navigate this issue?
I think it's helped a lot. Now, in my insurance career, I'm not a life and health agent. I just do property and casualty. But working in an office where there's a life and health agent, and all the conversations the last year involved life and health, that information helped a lot as we were working on things here, because it wasn't terms that were all new. I understood what they were talking about. We knew what our problems were and what the issues are and what we really need to work on. And we know that we've only accomplished part of that goal at this point, but we've got, we can take that and move forward and hopefully create something that's going to work again for our people, because this was not a good year for health insurance.
Yes, the market is changing rapidly, and you've introduced 60 bills this session, your second after Senator Ralph. From your first-year experience, does the process of bill introductions and legislation, does it move quickly or slowly? What are your thoughts on how this whole process works?
Well, being the first year, you don't really know the process when you first come, but I think it moved fairly fast. In fact, the way we hit the ground running January 3rd, or actually into that second week, I mean, it's been wide open ever since. So that process, the bills were coming through, people were bringing information, in this case to my office, and it was things that I was interested in, thought that I could offer some insight and some help, and help move these bills and carry them and explain them and such to everybody else. It just, there are some times that you wish that we could move things faster, but it's a process that's there for a reason. If the bill's got multiple issues in it, we take it to a different, multiple committees. It's heard in each committee so that the expertise of that committee gets to weigh in on the language of the bill, and hopefully when it finally hits the floor, it's something that's been well vetted, and now we can vote it up or down, and if it gets voted up, it becomes law, and that it can survive out there.
I've heard some freshman senators talk about this first session, relating it to drinking from a fire hose. Is that true for you?
I've heard that a lot. I've changed it a little bit when people ask me. I put it more into the sports version. You hear a lot of the, let's say, the rookies going into the NFL. They go in, and after they've played half or three-quarters of a season, they say the game starts to slow down. The game isn't slowing down, but they're actually getting a grasp of it. And I think that's the way I thought this worked for me. That first month was wild. Mm-hmm. You couldn't run fast enough. The second and third months we were doing even more, but because the process, you're not having to find your way around this building. I'd never been on the campus of the state capitol grounds before, so everything was brand new. So I relate to that rookie statement, and it slowed down, but we were doing more, and all of a sudden it was making sense.
One of the bills that you introduced was to provide workforce development grants for American Indian and communities of color. The bill was included in the Omnibus Jobs Bill, which Governor Dayton has since vetoed, but why did you bring this measure forward?
Well, I was on the Jobs and Economic Growth Committee, which was an important one for me. I had 4 committees that I really enjoyed, but job growth is important, and in our part of the state and all of greater Minnesota, we talk that a lot. Employers are looking for employees, but they're hoping for a little bit of training. We need to get these employees up to speed and make them valuable to the employer. And so part of the bill you just mentioned fits our area very well. We have 2 Indian reservations in our district, and that was brought to me because in particular, one of the reservations, there was a group of people that they're very interested in this. In fact, I would say it included in both of them, because I've had conversations with both, that just like everywhere in the state, they're looking out for their people. They're trying to get them employed, find jobs. We want everybody to get out and have a job they enjoy, that they can make money, that equals a quality of life. And when we have that and quality of life, I mean, things are pretty good. And so job force creation is kind of at the top of our list.
Coming from a rural district, as you mentioned, how are you navigating that oft-reported divide between the metro and the rural parts of the state?
Well, the first thing they have to understand that in our district, where I live in Park Rapids, it's 3,900 people, and that's the largest town in the district. So we are way different. I just came out of a meeting here a few minutes ago where we're talking locations here in the metro and the size of things. So it's kind of an educational thing back and forth. I think we understand the size of the metro because we come down and, you know, it's been part of our life all along, but yet for some people that we're working with down here, explaining how we do things and what we have to deal with in our rural areas, it's so much different, but it's very important. We have to have vibrant communities. Our rural area has to be sustained, and so it's education back and forth. And we, you know, when I look at the size of our districts in Greater Minnesota, you know, we have to stand strong for our areas too, because our numbers we're outnumbered down here in the metro, so just by population density. And so we have to work hard for our people up there, because a strong Greater Minnesota equals a strong metro and vice versa. We need each other.
Senator Oki, I want to thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us today.
Thank you.
A House lawmaker called a news conference to preview legislation that would charge parents whose daughters are subjected to the practice of female genital mutilation.
After the 7-year-old girls made the news, I did a little bit more research and came to the belief that Minnesota law is silent on parents who willingly bring their child to be harmed. And that's why we have this bill forward. So House File 2621 makes it an egregious crime for parents to want this done to their children. We hold parents accountable depending on the World Health Organization definition of, there's 4 different levels of female genital mutilation. Depending on that level is anywhere from a 20-year felony down to a 5-year felony. We also up the penalties for the doctors. Currently, it's at a 5-year felony. We also up those penalties for those performing the barbaric act to match the penalties of the parents as well. When I brought the legislation forward and I was asked if I was going to have any witnesses or testifiers, I never imagined that I would, and they came to me. Fahio came to me and wanted to be part of this historic legislation because she does not want any little girls to suffer what she and her friends have gone through.
Join us again next week as we delve into more topics affecting Minnesotans. I'm Shannon Loehrke, and on behalf of all of us at Senate Media Services, thanks for watching.